Dr. Locke here again. This is project 233. This is still absolute coordinates. This is going to take what we had covered in the first video where you took your letters, your initials. I'm taking my initial for K. I took all of the coordinates and now I'm putting it in the code that I'm going to put in CNCMotion. So here's the programming page. I finished up a bit of the lines here. I went down from line 00 to line 12. I'm going to go from point A to point E and hopefully make my first initial in the program called CNCMotion. Now if you don't know where CNCMotion is, you'll need to hit your Start button. You'll need to go to All Programs, go down to Student menu, look under Engineering, and open up CNCMotion. Since I already have one running, it's going to pull up the version that I have running. Remember, we looked at the sample code for Superman. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few tricks here. If you already have this code pulled up, if you don't, you can go ahead and do File Open and look for your Superman sample code. Then what I'd like for you to do is hit File New to get your first blank program in. And if you're not sure which one is, not sure where to find the other code, you can always bring it up. You can also cascade these if you need to. But I'm only going to use the first part of the Superman code anyway. I'm going to use line 1 through 4. I'm going to Control C. I'm going to copy it, or you can right click. Hit copy. I'm going to come up to Program. I want to show you something that every GNM code that you're going to do, every NC code that we're going to create in CNCMotion or CNC Base, I want comment code. The 5th line, I'm going to put my name somewhere on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Programmed by Kyle Locke. You put your name on your code. The other thing that we could do is label what we're actually doing. And I'm doing initials. Something like that. So if I don't put line numbers, I could go back and let the computer do extra lines. If I skip a line, that type of thing, there is, under the edit, there is a function called renumber where I can renumber the code. I can do a start number. I can increment it by 1 or by 5s. If I do that, usually I start with 0. So it just has 0, 5, 10. And that way, if I need to insert anything, I can do that and just put additional numbers, or I can renumber it. So that's just a little trick. I mentioned earlier that if you are locked out and you cannot edit something, make sure that the lock is not checked. Alright. Now the code that I had earlier, right here, I'm going to start, instead of, now that I'm not starting with 00, I've already done all of my comment code from line 0 to 25. So the first 6 lines have already been taken up. I'm going to start typing in the rest of the code. So I can come back and toggle back and forth, but I'm going to go ahead and put G90. Absolute coordinates, M35, I need MO6 T01, and I mentioned to you before that you need to make sure that you do not have spaces between your letters and your numbers. You can have spaces here, or you can take them out if you choose. It's a little harder to read when I don't have spaces between the 6 and the T, but it's not needed. It just, you need to make sure that you can kind of identify different words in your program so that you know that a letter precedes a number, comes before a number, and there's no space between that. Otherwise, there will be an error whenever you do this code. I'm going to go ahead and type in the rest of this code. I'm going to pause the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I have some more code typed in to show you some stuff. Okay, back to the file. You can see that I've finished the programming, at least for the letter K, and you see that the line numbers are from N0 all the way to N90. I'm going from point A to point E, and that should give me a K, so I'm going to see how that will work. A couple of things I need to do to make sure I set up the machine. Oftentimes your machine does not have the tool at the corner that you want with the 0, 0, 0 right here. So I'm going to just jog up. I'm going to see if I can see this here. Just send it above here. Alright, so if your tool, the tip of your tool is not exactly at the corner like mine is right now, so it could be up in the air, you want to select Send Tool to Corner using this tool. You see where the cursor is. I've got it highlighted and it shows up. There is Send Tool to Point. That's very difficult to actually isolate a point. And there's Reset part, all that good stuff. If you hit the reset, sometimes it will go back into another position, but I'm going to send the tool to corner. I'm going to select here, and I'm going to try and zoom in. Sometimes you have to kind of get at it. I'm right-clicking on my mouse right now and zooming in, and I'm going to click right at the corner. Sometimes it takes a couple of times to do that. I want to make sure I'm at the corner, though. Looks like that tool is right at the corner. And I'm going to look to see if it is at 0, 0, 0. If it isn't at 0, 0, 0, there are a couple of ways I can get it there. I go to Setup. I can go to 0 position. Now this is not recommended for the actual machine, but since we're in virtual world, you can just click 0 position and say, are you sure you want to reset the current position as 0 on all axes? Hit yes. If you want to set the axis to 0, which this is the recommended method, you would just go to Set Axis to 0, just one axis at a time. The tool should be lined up. When we go over to the machine, you would want to line the tool up so that half of the tool is on the part and half of it is hanging off the part for the x-axis, for the y-axis going this way, and then for the z-axis so that it touches. And there's a paper test that I'm going to show you when I get back to the class. So make sure that you understand that this does one axis at a time. It's more difficult to do virtually, but it is recommended when we actually work on the machine. But we've already reset all the axes by doing 0 position. We will use the jog position when we get over and actually adjust the milling bit to the part. So now that I have that zeroed out, I'm actually able to run this. I probably want to move this up in the Z direction. Right now I can't seem to see that, so I'm just going to go ahead and zoom. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. Alright, I'll move this over and move this over. Alright. So, the jog control, I can move the Z up to a safe location. Right now it's in fast. I want to be very careful how fast I'm going with the tool bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit cycle start. This is the green button. Now when I hit cycle start, there are 2 buttons that I can stop it with. I can hit it with the red button and stop it, but I have to reset the entire part. The blue button is a pause button, which pauses it in the middle of the program, and I can go right back to green. That's usually the one I will do if I need to make sure that I stop this in the middle of a program just to make sure the settings are okay. Right now I haven't saved this as anything, so it's program 1. I'm going to run the program. I could also, anything I have open I could run, but right now I'm just going to run program 1. Okay, that is the requested tool change. At least I hope it is. Alright, now with the limit hit, when we have limit hits we need to double check. This is an error that shows up in the machine. You usually have to go into the preferences. Make sure that I don't have anything selected here. Hit cancel. Make sure in my part that I'm not actually going way out of bounds. Right now I'm in the Z direction at 1.797, so let's see if we can go to setup again. I'm going to lower this back down. I'm going to see if I can start just by moving it closer in. Alright. This is part of the problem right now is this section right here with the tool change. I'm going to make it a comment for right now because it's having a problem with the tool change. I'm going to have to reset. I'm going to have to set up the tool for that. Run it and see if it does that. Let me lower it a little bit. Let's try it again. Alright, so I'm going to have to set up the tool. I will do that when we actually physically do that, but I just commented that whole line out right there. That means the computer cannot see it. So I'm going to leave M06 T01 as a line in the code, but only as comment. It's now in green, so it's actually not going to read it. Okay. Now, it made the letter down here, and I can expand this so you can kind of see. It made the letter K. It previewed it. I can also turn the block one way or the other to kind of take a better look at it. But this is the virtual block, the stock block. This is what our part has been that we cut. And this is what you'll want to see when you're done with this particular project when you actually simulate it. When I get back, I'll explain a little bit more about the M06 and how we would have to set it up. Right now, the library is probably not set up, and if it is, I need to make sure that tool number 1 is set up as an 1/8 inch. And it looks like it's set up in here, so I'm going to double check that. Sometimes in our simulation, it doesn't like the M06 command, but it will work when we actually put it on CNC base. So I will get back to you on that, but right now I just want to see if you actually can make the letters go from the points that you've designed in the previous exercise. So make sure you, like going from A to B, and mine is going from C to D to E, so make your initials accordingly and type them in just like I have them here in this program. What is very cool about this program is you could type this in a WordPad and copy and paste it into a program like this or into even CNC base, and it's nothing special. It's just code. The line numbers start with N. The G and M code have those specific codes, but you can type this into any kind of Word document, copy and paste it into here, and it should work just fine. If you have any questions, you can email me or post them on a discussion, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.